Troy McClure. You might remember me from such self-help videos as Smoke Yourself Thin and Get Confident, Stupid.
Hello, this is Asuma, not Troy McClure, with another tip from Star Trek Fleet Command. This video is aimed for the free-to-play or light spender in the 20s. And I want to talk about some considerations for players in the 20s that you should be thinking about in the 30s. Like someone said, someone wise once said in Star Trek Fleet Command, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Meaning careful planning can help out your gameplay months in advance. So reducing the pain points can help you save time and frustration when you're playing. If you don't take these pain points into consideration, you'll find yourself spinning your wheels for weeks or possibly months while you try to dig yourself out of a hole. So let's start. First, getting into the 20s, the first big decision is which of the three factions do you ally yourself with? The Federation or the Feds, the Romulans or the Roms, or the Klingons or Kling? The answer is none of them. I mean, when you're playing the missions, I'm free to help each faction or backstab them, depending on what the reward is. So the game in the mission chain will force you to choose a faction, but this choice only affects the missions that you do and not the actual gameplay. So in actual gameplay, you can level up any faction you wish. So you see I have Federation, Klingon, and Romulan. And so I've already leveled all three of them up. So they're all in positive reputation. But when you're in the 20s, you have to choose a faction to level up. And the best way to plan for the 30s is to dual faction, okay? Which means choosing two of the three factions to continually level up in reputation. So taking myself for an example, I chose to level up the Federation and the Klingon factions, both at the same time. And a lot of players ask, what is the advantage of doing dual faction instead of just choosing one faction? Well, the big point is to avoid those pain points that I was talking about earlier. So the first pain point that you'll find in the early 30s is repair. So you'll be attacking hostiles, you'll be doing PvP, lots of different things. You'll get hull damage, and you need to repair your ships. Now, it takes a long time, like 5, 6, eventually even up to 12 hours, maybe even more. And, it doesn't make sense just to sit there and wait for it to repair. So you will need those repair speedups. And you get repair speedups from your faction dailies. So going over to the faction dailies, so taking a look at, let's say, these Romulan ones here. So if I click on the Romulan faction daily, so it gives you repair speedups here, 30 minutes. And it gives me 30 of them. So if I'm in one faction only, I get 30. But if I'm dual factioning, I get 60. And these numbers only go up as your reputation goes up. So if you imagine 60 speed ups of 30 minutes, you can repair your ships multiple times in a day and still have your your speed ups go up. So taking a look, I have my board cube is being repaired right now. So let's just take a look at speed ups. So 3 hours, 1 hour, I don't really use those that much, but the 30-minute repair speed ups, I have 24,000 repair speed ups. And I've been using them consistently every single day. So that's your first pain point that can be removed. The second pain point that can be removed from dual factioning is faction credits. So you will need a lot of faction credits to buy your faction ships. So if we take a look, you have your Mayflower. If you take a look at the Mayflower, it's 125 credits for one chest, for one blueprint. If you go to the Saladin, which is a very nice ship, you have 200 for one, okay? And maybe even going up to the Enterprise, which is 1,200 faction credits per blueprint, okay? So if you keep on doing those faction dailies for 2 factions, you will get enough faction credits for 2 factions, and it will give you a choice of which faction ship that you want to buy blueprints for, okay? The third reason, the third pain point to avoid when dual factioning is your faction reputation. So again, you can raise your faction reputation with 2 factions. It unlocks more things in your faction store, and you'll have access to that, right? So those are the 3 things, 3 pain points to avoid when doing dual factioning. So the second decision is which faction ships that you want to aim for in the 30s. So 3-star faction ships are unlocked at level 26. So for example, for the Feds, well, let's take the Klingons. So if you take a look at the Klingons at level 26, you get a D3. Level 28, you get the Bortus. Level 32, you get the Burrell. And at level 34, you get the D4. Okay, so these are your faction ships going up into the mid-30s. And the pain points for faction ships are the materials that you need for each. So miners and interceptors take mainly crystal, right? Explorers, they take gas, and battleships need ore. So taking a look at the different levels, 26, 28, 32, and 34, most people consider 26 and 32 to be optional. Some people get them, but if you want to be hyper efficient, you can skip them and only get the 28s and 34s. Because you will level up past their power level. So you won't be able to use them as much as a 28 or a 34. 28 and 34 ships are considered essential. To plan your ships out, start at the ship that you really want, okay? At level 34, okay? So at level 34, choose your favorite. So let's go to our ship tab and sort by shipyard. And let's scroll over to the 34s. All right, so our 34 ships are the D4 for Klingons, the Enterprise, which is an explorer, and we have an Augur, which is a battleship. So each level has one of each class: interceptor, explorer, and battleship. So if this is your main goal, then work backwards. Okay, so your next level ship to get would be your 28. So for me, I got the Explorer. I've got the Enterprise, which is an Explorer. So working backwards, the Enterprise needs a heck of a lot of gas. So I don't want to be spending that gas for a faction ship at level 28. So instead, I will choose a different class of ship for my 28. So going to my level 28s, we have the Bortus, the Saladin, and the Centurion. Most people choose a Bortus or a Saladin. So I wanted the Enterprise. So for my 28, I chose Bortus as a battleship. So in that way, I'm not stealing resources or materials from my Enterprise to put into a Bortus. And going back, if you want to do, you want to get a level 26 ship, a D3, a Mayflower or a Legionary, again, you wanted to have a different class than the next one. So if I had a battleship, I might choose the D3, which is an interceptor. That way, I'm not taking crystal, I'm not taking gas, or I'm not taking ore from the ship that I really want. Okay, so alternate your warship classes. Avoid those material bottlenecks. All right, 2 things to consider. All right, number 1, all miners take crystal. So you'll have to make some miners. You'll have some horizons. At most 3 horizons. You'll have 3 horizons to mine. They all take crystal. All right, so keep that in the back of your mind. You will run out of crystal if you have miners, or you decide to get the faction miners. Here we go, the Cavort, the Antares, or the Valkis. They all take crystal. Okay, so if you're aiming for a Saladin, which also takes crystal, it's an interceptor, you may run into crystal problems. All right, the second point is specialty ships. All right, so where is my Vidar? Okay, my Vidar. You can get your Vidar in the 20s. It's an interceptor. It takes crystal. So again, you may find trouble with crystal. If you're saving up materials for specialty ships in the 30s, all right? Especially the really important, the Defiant, okay? The Talios, these are unlocked at Ops 35. The Defiant and the Talios, at the beginning, they take 3-star crystal. So crystal is very important. If you are going for that Saladin, all right, or if you're going for any interceptor, then make sure that you mine that crystal. All right, so those are some of the considerations that you need when you're in the 20s planning for your 30s. Okay, so you might have some other questions like, how do I dual faction? What is the process to get dual faction going? Or which faction ships are worth it, which are not worth it, okay? As a free-to-play player or a light spender, okay? Unfortunately, we don't have time for that. Those are topics for another video. Thanks for watching. Thanks to everyone in the Fun Alliance chat for giving out advice to our members. Thanks for Mooncake for putting Troy McClure in my head. And we will see you in the next video. Goodbye.